In an era of black and white televisions, rotary phones, and newsreels about wars and civil rights, America found its quietest, most enduring sanctuary not in a palace, a courtroom, or a spaceship, but in a little town called Mayberry. The Andy Griffith Show, which aired on CBS from 1960 to 1968, wasn't just a sitcom. It was a refuge, a balm, a gentle heartbeat in a world spinning faster than ever. For 8 seasons, it never slipped below 7th in the Nielsen ratings, a staggering feat in an age when fewer than a dozen shows dominated the airwaves. But here's the miracle. It didn't just stay in the top 10. It climbed to number 1, not by accident, not by gimmicks, not by shouting louder than the rest. It reached the top because in 1968, when the nation was fractured by protests, assassinations, and cultural upheaval, millions of Americans turned off the noise and turned on Andy Taylor. They didn't tune in for explosions. They tuned in for silence, for the sound of a screen door closing at dusk, for Sheriff Andy Taylor sitting on his porch humming a tune he half remembered, for Barney Fife fumbling his way through a misunderstanding with a badge too big and a heart too small, for Aunt Bee baking a pie she didn't need to, but did, because love is made in kitchens, not boardrooms, for Opie learning that honesty matters more than winning, for the slow rhythm of a town where the biggest crime was a man whistling after dark and the greatest victory was a shared laugh over a glass of lemonade. It was a show that didn't chase trends, it defined them. While other programs grew louder, faster, more cynical, the Andy Griffith Show grew quieter and deeper. It didn't mock its characters, it cherished them. It didn't solve problems with drama, it solved them with patience. And when it ended in 1968, holding the number 1 spot in the ratings, it wasn't because the audience was nostalgic. It was because they needed it. In a time when the world felt like it was falling apart, Mayberry reminded people that the world could still be whole if you chose to make it so. It wasn't just the most watched show of its time, it was the most beloved. And that's why, over half a century later, it still lives not as a relic, but as a reminder that peace doesn't have to be loud, that kindness doesn't have to be flashy. That leadership doesn't come from a megaphone. It comes from a quiet voice, a steady hand, and the courage to say, "I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed." That's why it held the number 1 spot, not because it was perfect, but because, in a broken world, it made people feel seen. And sometimes, that's the only thing that matters.